For the first time in human history, Earth had been officially invited to stand among the stars, not as an outsider, but as a recognized member of the Galactic Concord, the ruling alliance of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. It was a moment of pride, but also tension. Ambassador Elora Vos stood at the front of Earth's sleek, diplomatic cruiser, the Seraphis Dawn, as it approached the orbiting station of Lyser Prime, where the summit of systems was already underway. Around them floated ships of every imaginable design, living vessels grown from trees by the Solari, giant cubes of shifting light controlled by the Axion Clade, and the cold steel triangles of the Varn Dominion, who had conquered dozens of systems in silence. Humanity's arrival had not gone unnoticed. Whispers passed through the delegates, most mocking, some cautious. Earth, they thought, was a young race that had barely learned to crawl among the stars, with no real influence or might. Many believed they were here simply to look pretty, offer gratitude, and leave quietly. But Elora knew differently. She carried not just Earth's hopes, but its hidden truth. The Seraphis Dawn docked, and as the human delegation entered the grand hall walls alive with starlight, ceilings shaped by gravitic art, Elora's calm, steel-eyed gaze met the curiosity and condescension of hundreds. She greeted them all with a confident nod, never once letting the smirks get to her. The meeting began with grand speeches, boasting alliances, trade routes, and old grudges masked by smiles. Earth remained quiet, listening, calculating. Then, halfway through a lecture by Exandari Elder about the need to keep primitive species contained, the lights flickered and the station shuddered. At first, many thought it was a malfunction. But the second tremor was stronger. Windows dimmed to black. Emergency shields activated. A voice crackled through every channel. By decree of the Free Void Armada, this station is now under our control. Do not resist. Panic rippled through the hall as sleek black ships emerged from the planet's shadow pirates, dozens of them, surrounding the station like wolves. The Concord fleets caught off guard and unarmed inside froze. Protocol demanded they retreat or wait for reinforcements. But Earth did not wait. Without hesitation, Elora tapped her comlink. "Permission to engage," she said softly. Far above, in orbit's edge, the Seraphis Dawn shimmered and changed. Its diplomatic hull peeled back to reveal armor plating. Hidden hatches opened, releasing swarms of autonomous drones. Within seconds, it launched kinetic strikes, sharp and fast as lightning. Pirate vessels burst into pieces mid-move before their targeting systems could even lock on. The station's hacked defenses were overridden by Earth's cyber systems, which had slipped in unnoticed, silent watchers from the start. One by one, the pirate ships were disabled, not destroyed, paralyzed mid-flight, trapped in stasis fields, or pulled toward the planet by calculated gravitational nudges. The whole attack ended in less than 3 minutes. Silence fell over the chamber. The delegates turned slowly to look at Elora Vos, their expressions a mix of shock, fear, and awe. She stood still, her hands behind her back, not smiling, not gloating, just stating a fact. That was a warning shot. We came in peace, but we are not helpless. And with that, she walked back to her seat, while the galaxy began to realize it had greatly underestimated the people of Earth. After the incident at Lyser Prime, nothing in the galaxy felt quite the same. The footage of Earth's sudden counterattack spread across star systems faster than any news before it. Species that had laughed at humanity now watched in silence. Some called it luck, others believed Earth had staged the pirate assault for attention. But among the powerful and the cautious, fear began to settle in like frost. Hidden across the stars, intelligence agencies and shadow fleets belonging to ancient empires started testing Earth's defenses quietly. They sent stealth drones cloaked in void haze, slipped listening beacons into asteroid fields, and unleashed virus programs into old satellite networks, hoping to map Earth's strength without drawing attention. What they found, or rather failed to find, disturbed them even more. Their probes vanished without a trace. Signals returned corrupted or didn't return at all. Entire data clusters simply shut down when Earth's systems detected foreign codes, almost as if Earth's machines had minds of their own. Deep in the solar system, behind Saturn's moons, Earth's Unified Defense Council gathered in a hidden base called Sable Point, built into the shadow side of a captured rock. Admiral Kai Mendoza, a man with ice-gray eyes and a sharp mind, stood before a dozen of Earth's top commanders, outlining what he called Protocol Aurora. It was not a war plan. It was a reveal strategy. "They believe they've seen our hand," he said calmly. "They haven't even seen the table we're playing on." The Council knew what that meant. Earth had held back intentionally. The display at Lyser had been only the edge of their strength. Across the Martian orbit, hidden satellites powered by dark matter engines remained silent, armed with weapons untested outside simulations. Lunar Defense Grid 7 was cloaked entirely, running on quantum loops that made it undetectable to conventional scans. Earth wasn't building its military strength anymore. It had already finished. Now came the time to show it, piece by piece, as the galaxy watched. But not everyone waited. Far across the stars, the Zarathi warlord Draxon Tor, infamous for his aggression and lust for dominance, saw Earth's rise as a personal insult. He had conquered 3 worlds in his youth and feared nothing. When his advisors warned him of Earth's mysterious defenses, he laughed. "They're farmers who play with fire," he growled. "Let's see if they burn." Without notifying the Concord, he dispatched a carrier battle group of 5 heavy-class cruisers, each brimming with weapons, and set course for Mars. He expected surrender. What he got was silence. As his fleet reached Martian orbit, there were no human ships in sight, just empty space, stars, and red rock below. Then something shifted. The Martian surface shimmered, as if reality itself was bending. And then they saw it, entire orbital platforms rising from underneath layers of artificial camouflage. Solar lances, long-range plasma torpedoes, drone pods, thousands of them spun to life like an awakened beast. The Zarathi barely had time to react before the platforms opened fire, not with brute explosions, but with precision. One cruiser's weapons were disabled without damaging the hull. Another had its engine core frozen mid-pulse by a gravitic pulse beam. Within 4 minutes, all 5 ships were disabled, untouched by fatal force but completely useless, drifting in orbit like defeated statues. The warlord's flagship tried to self-destruct, but its systems were hacked mid-command. The ship was boarded by a dozen human infiltration drones, who relayed a single message: "You are not the first. You won't be the last. But you will return." And just like that, the Zarathi fleet was towed to the edge of Mars space, fixed and returned alive. That message spread faster than any ship. The galaxy, once so sure of its place, had no idea what Earth would do next. Some believed Earth would demand power. Others feared it would strike without warning. But none could deny it now. Earth wasn't a minor race anymore. It had become something else, something patient, hidden, and prepared. Even among Earth's own allies, questions began to rise. What else had humanity built in the dark? What else were they hiding in the void? After the failed Zarathi attack on Mars, a strange silence spread through the galaxy. It wasn't the peaceful kind. It was the kind that comes before a storm. Across hundreds of star systems, the name Earth began to carry an unknown weight that left rulers, scholars, and military leaders in uneasy thought. Rumors whispered of secret weapons, invisible ships, and machines that could think faster than entire fleets. But no one had proof. No one could see clearly into the shadows humanity kept wrapped around itself. Yet in the dark corners of high-level councils, fear was growing. The Concord, already uneasy with Earth's rise, started to discuss containment. They called it protection for galactic balance, but their voices were laced with worry. Meanwhile, Earth moved forward, not with war, but with silence. Deep in the asteroid belt, in a forgotten region where signals faded and sensors failed, something massive stirred. It had been sleeping, hidden among rocks and dust, cloaked by the interference of nearby gravity wells. It was known only to a few human commanders and was called AEGIS Station. It wasn't a station in the traditional sense. It was a defense platform the size of a city, shaped like a jagged blade, and armed with systems the galaxy had no words for. Its surface was blacker than space, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. Its insides were filled with AI minds designed not only to defend, but to anticipate entire wars before the first shot. And it waited, silent and cold, like a guardian statue ready to wait. Earth hadn't created a EGIS to attack. It was their last card, their silent colossus, placed not to conquer, but to end any fight before it could begin. But its existence was not to stay secret for long. The Carthari Dominion, an empire known for pride and power, decided that Earth's rise was a threat to the natural order. They didn't send diplomats or warnings. They sent a battle moon. It was an ancient weapon from their wars of unification, a mobile fortress carved from a hollowed-out moon, armed with beam lances, antimatter cannons, and siege drills capable of breaking continents. The battle moon slipped into Earth's system on a curved path, pretending to be a stray object. Their plan was to strike AEGIS and disappear before Earth could respond. But they didn't realize one truth: AEGIS didn't need to move to fight. The moment the battle moon crossed into a coded boundary unmarked on any map, AEGIS awoke. No lights. No warnings. Just activation. All external systems of the Carthari moon suddenly shut down. Their crew screamed into dead comms as systems rebooted into loops. Their weapons wouldn't respond. Their engines burned cold. And then it happened, the impossible. Time around the battle moon began to bend. The stars stretched. The clocks stopped. From Earth's view, it was as if the moon froze in space, locked in place like a paused video. This was EGIS's true weapon, a temporal displacement field developed in Earth's hidden labs. It didn't destroy. It erased momentum. It removed danger without blood. And just like that, the Carthari moon became a floating relic, deactivated, unpowered, and motionless. Humanity didn't destroy it. Instead, they moved it. In the span of a single night, the moon appeared in Earth's orbit, floating beside the real moon like a ghost. It became a message the entire galaxy could see. Humanity could have destroyed it. But they didn't. The world woke to the sight of two moons in the sky, one real, one defeated. Panic and awe spread across systems. News networks lit up. Analysts argued. Conspiracy groups claimed it was fake. But the message was undeniable. Earth had power beyond understanding and restraint beyond expectation. The Concord called for an emergency session. Some demanded Earth explain. Others begged them to disarm. But Alaravoz returned to the chamber on Lyser Prime with the same calm presence she always carried. She said nothing of threats. Only this: we didn't build AEGIS to attack. We built it because we know what war looks like when you've seen the worst of yourselves. We do not seek to rule, but we will not kneel. Her words echoed across the chamber, and for the first time, none dared mock Earth. In the days that followed, more probes disappeared, but none dared send ships. Because now they all knew somewhere in the dark, the silent colossus waited, watching, ready to rise if the stars dared challenge Earth again. The galaxy no longer laughed at Earth. What began as curiosity had turned into quiet fear, and that fear had begun to shift into something even more dangerous: division. The older powers, the ones who had ruled for thousands of years, were growing nervous. The Concord, once the symbol of unity among the stars, was now full of cracks. Behind closed doors, the Carthari, the Axionclade, the Solari High Court, and other dominant species debated what they called the Earth problem. They believed humanity's rise had disrupted the ancient balance, that Earth's refusal to obey old systems was not boldness, but rebellion. Some wanted peace. Others demanded control. They asked Earth to share its weapons data, to reveal the secrets of AEGIS and the Martian arrays, to show they meant no harm. But Earth didn't answer with surrender or defiance. Instead, it made a move no one expected: an open call to the smaller species, the overlooked races who had been pushed to the edge of power for centuries. Earth proposed something new: Project Concord Reforged, a fresh alliance based not on bloodlines or empire, but fairness and defense. No throne, no chains, Earth's message said. Only choice. Within weeks, dozens of smaller civilizations began to listen. The Dwellery, whose homeworld had been taxed dry by Concord trade laws. The Trellery, once forced to give up their moon to a Solari science outpost. Even neutral races like the Saronics and the Velmari, known for their silence, showed interest. What shocked the Concord most was that Earth wasn't bribing them with weapons. It was offering knowledge, medicine, defensive AI, and clean fusion tech. Earth wasn't building an empire. It was building trust. And that scared the old powers more than any battleship. So the pressure grew. The Concord High Council issued a formal demand. Earth must halt all outreach until further review and submit to Concord military inspection. The message was sent with full diplomatic weight, backed by nearly every major empire still in the council. Earth replied not with war, but with a ship. From deep within Jupiter's orbit, something massive emerged, a ship like none had ever seen. It was not silent like a EGIS or hidden like the Martian grid. It was meant to be seen. The UNS Dauntless, Earth's flagship of the solar fleet, moved forward into the light of distant suns. It was over 3 kilometers long, powered by a controlled artificial sun encased in its core, using graviton engines that bent space gently instead of tearing through it. Its hull shifted color like oil under light, coated in a defense layer that learned from every energy signature it encountered. The Dauntless was not just a battleship, it was a statement. It broadcast a single message across all known channels: we will not be bullied. We will not be broken. But we are willing to talk. Inside the Concorde, the effect was immediate. Some called for peace, shocked by the scale of Earth's power. Others whispered of preparing for war, convinced humanity was preparing to seize the galaxy. But no one dared act yet. In response to the standoff, protests broke out across Concord territories, not against Earth, but against their own governments. Young citizens of the alien worlds questioned why their leaders feared a planet offering peace and progress. The movement grew, calling itself the Equinox Voice, demanding the end of Concord's elite grip on power. Even inside the council itself, ambassadors began resigning or shifting sides. Earth's offer had lit a spark that no fleet could stop. But danger still grew. Deep within the shadows of failed empires and war-torn borders, mercenaries and extremists began forming silent pacts. They saw opportunity in chaos. Some wanted to strike Earth before it could rise higher. Others wanted to draw Concord into war and tear everything down. Admiral Kai Mendoza knew this was the moment the storm would truly begin, not when weapons fired, but when fear made someone act without thinking. So Earth stayed one step ahead. A global summit was called not in secret chambers, but on Earth itself, at the old United Nations site rebuilt into a galactic council dome. Earth invited everyone, from dominant empires to minor tribes, offering the same words: we seek unity, not rule. But we will not kneel to fear. And as ships from across the stars began arriving, one truth echoed louder than any transmission: the galaxy had changed, and Earth was no longer a question, it was the storm itself, not rising from power, but from the choice to build something new. And in every corner of space, species that had once been silent now watched, wondering whether to follow, resist, or hide, because the gathering storm was not just about war, but about what kind of future would be built once the thunder had passed. The galaxy had never seen a moment like this before. Earth had made its stand. The dominion of choice, an idea so simple, yet so powerful, was born from a single truth: all beings, no matter their power or history, should have the right to decide their own fate. No throne, no chains, no empires, just choice. The summit on Earth's surface had gathered hundreds of delegates from across the stars. Representatives of every species stood beneath the great dome, its transparent roof reflecting the brilliance of the sun and distant stars. Ships of all shapes and sizes filled the skies above, a vivid testament to the diversity of the galaxy. Earth's invitation had been clear: come and speak. Come and listen. But come with respect. There were no long speeches, no endless promises of riches or power. What Earth offered was simple: an alliance based on mutual respect and the right to choose one's path. Still, The room was filled with tension. On one side, the older powers of the galaxy, those who had controlled the flow of resources, knowledge, and technology for centuries, sat with faces full of uncertainty. They had ruled with iron fists and cold laws, and now a young planet, one they once considered primitive, was challenging everything they had built. The Concord's leadership was particularly uneasy. They had thought they could force Earth into compliance, make it follow the old rules, but now they saw a very different force. What frightened them more than Earth's power was its unity. The people of Earth had come together as one, not driven by any empire's ideals, but by a belief in something greater, the freedom to choose. Earth's delegation, led by Ambassador Elira Vos, stood at the center of the hall, calm and resolute. When she spoke, her voice was not one of arrogance, but of quiet strength. "The old ways no longer serve," she said, her eyes sweeping over the galaxy's assembled leaders. "The power to rule is no longer enough. The power to choose is everything." The words reverberated in the vast hall, leaving a charged silence in their wake. What Earth was offering wasn't just a new form of government, it was a new way of thinking. And that frightened many. For centuries, the great empires had lived by the principle that only the strong should lead. But Earth's message was clear. True strength lies in the will of the many, not the dominance of the few. At the same time, the rumors of Earth's hidden weapons, of AGIS, of the Dauntless, and the Martian defenses hung like a dark cloud over the proceedings. But Earth had been careful. They had never threatened first. They had only shown that they would defend themselves if needed. They hadn't declared war. They hadn't even sent a fleet to intimidate. And yet, the old powers trembled. Among the delegates, the smaller species, the ones who had always been pushed aside by the mighty empires, began to stir. They had been watching Earth's rise with growing hope, and now they saw an opportunity. The Dwari, once denied access to advanced technologies, spoke first. They praised Earth's message and announced that they would join the Dominion of Choice, pledging their support for a new galaxy, one where all races could have a say in their future. The Trellery followed, their leader's voice full of conviction as they too declared their allegiance. Slowly, others began to speak up: the Seranics, the Velmari, even the quiet Slythar. The weight of the room shifted. The great powers had never expected this. The movement for choice was growing, and their influence was slipping away. They had underestimated the power of unity among the less powerful species. But the real shock came from within the Concord itself. In a stunning turn of events, several of the Concord's leading ambassadors stood, announcing that they too would leave the alliance and join the Dominion of Choice. The movement was gaining momentum, and now even the oldest empires were beginning to see that if they didn't adapt, they would be left behind. One by one, the empires began to argue among themselves. The Kurthari, whose pride had been wounded by Earth's peaceful yet firm stance, were divided. Half still wanted to strike, but the other half saw the wisdom in Earth's vision. The Solari, long known for their elegance and strict hierarchy, began to question their own rigidity. The Axionclade, cold and calculating, found themselves debating whether peace could offer more power than endless conflict. Meanwhile, Earth's ships, silent and powerful, hovered just beyond the reach of their influence. The message was clear: Earth was not begging for respect. Earth had already earned it. The Concord's leaders convened in private, facing a choice of their own: either accept the new order that Earth was offering, or risk splintering into chaos, a galaxy divided by old grudges and failed systems. Earth had already won the hearts of the smaller species, and now it was offering something the old powers couldn't provide: true freedom of choice. In that moment, every leader in the room realized one undeniable truth: